Hello, welcome to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Hey, thanks for checking me out. So, I'm going to do another video while I drive to work. I'm a busy guy, so a lot going on in my life. I'm not going to talk about myself, but let's talk about some interesting things a little bit that maybe you'll get something out of for your own personal life. So, I think I'm going to call this, or part of this story anyway, the parable of the four pennies. So maybe you'll enjoy it. So when I was at a place, they said, okay, we're having this basically like a special where you're going to have your car washed for free with some guys. So I said, great, I'll get my car washed for free. Now, me personally, I don't like people doing anything for free. I always believe there's an energy exchange, so I said to myself, okay, I was cleaning out my car, don't want to needlessly tempt people with things that you leave out. So my mother taught me that years ago when we had, I was down on vacation somewhere, and they said there's a housekeeper that comes to your room, and I saw her locking things in the closet. So I said, why are you locking some of the valuables in the closet? She says, I don't want to needlessly tempt people. So I said, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And she locked the closet, and people didn't get tempted to take anything, which is a really great way to look at things. So anyway, I just wanted to, I don't like people working for free, so I figured I was going to give them some money to the guys working on my car. I don't know, they were good guys. I was thinking maybe $10 each, and they weren't, it wasn't a really big detail, but I was going to give them some money for working on my car and cleaning it. And I noticed when I was pulling out some stuff out of the car, so they could work on it, I noticed I had a couple of quarters in the back, a dime, and 4 shiny pennies. So, I said, hey, you know what? I'll leave the money there. It's only 64 cents. So I'll leave the money there, and if these guys take it, then I'm not going to tip them anything. But if they're honest guys, then I will reward them and I'll give them money. And I came back, sometime later. They were busy. Anyway, I came back again, and then I came back again, and they finally got to my car. I'm like last priority. And I got the car, and I drove it away, and I opened up the trunk, and on the left side where I knew the coins were, I literally looked right before I left it, 64 cents. The only thing that was left were these 4 shiny pennies. And I said, man, they just screwed themselves up out of their big tip. I was going to reward them, but they ended up taking the money. They took 60 cents. They could have had $10 each, but they got 60 cents instead. So I said, that's just too bad. And I wasn't going to make this into a video. It's just, these kind of things happen to me all day long. This is basically a parable. Now, I went to my wife's car, and yesterday, this is the following day. This was on Saturday, today's Monday. I went on Sunday, I went in my wife's car. I opened up the trunk, totally different car. I haven't gone in her trunk for a while. On the left-hand side, on the floor in the trunk, in the same place, were 4 shiny pennies. So, that reminded me that I have to talk about this in a video, and to tell you guys about the 4 shiny pennies. So I thought of it as a parable, and I think you could catch the story of it, where when your reward is here and you reap the reward in the world, and you steal from people, and then you won't get your reward in heaven. You know, what you reap, you will sow. So I just thought that was a really, really interesting parable of the 4 pennies. I ended up telling you what it means, but I kind of dig this stuff, and I see it in everyday life, and it was a real thing. So I thought I'd also talk about this temperature, taking people's temperature. And I talked to somebody about it at my job, my regular job, and totally bugged them out. So it was an idea I had about taking people's temperature. So it has to do with the mark of the beast. So when you go and you just had a crink in my neck. When you go and you have someone takes your temperature, they take it on your hand now, or on your forehead. They take your temperature. And when you're absent from class, what happens when you're absent from class? Or you're in class? They take attendance and they mark you either present or absent. So in a literal sense, when something is observed and it's marked down, that's a mark. So you're being marked with this. Now, biblically speaking, it says in the Bible that I'm getting very biblical today with it, with the devil is actually exists in hellfire, exists in eternal fire. So actual heat is where Satan exists. So when people have their mark taken, their temperature taken, it's like you're receiving a mark to buy or sell. And that's when they take the temperature, that's the number of his name, which is eternal fire. So you don't have to have a literal, as I understand it, a literal mark. What you're agreeing to is you're agreeing to the fear of being your temperature taken. You're agreeing to the fear of the beast system. You're agreeing to live in fear and not trust in God in the universe, and you're not trusting in yourself and health, and you're giving into illness when you're going out and having to go buy or sell. You need the mark of the beast. It's marked down in everybody's head. Maybe they're not literally writing it down, but they're looking at the number. And that's the number of the beast is your temperature. And as we know, the number of man is 666. So I just thought I'd share that theory about temperature. And I kept thinking to myself, how is it, why, when I saw people's temperature being taken on their forehead, I was like, wait a second, something is going on, and this is a little more biblical than I think people realize. And it seems strange because I always saw people being their temperature taken, in their mouth, or maybe even, I don't know, on the wrist or something. But now it's on their hand, basically on your wrist or your hand, or on your forehead. This is how they're taking people's temperature. And I'm not saying this is 100% correct, but it seemed like an interesting theory. I thought I'd share it with you, because for people to have their temperature taken now, to go buy or sell is pretty wild when you think about it, on your forehead. And then it's a mark, which is the temperature is a number, and you're being marked when you take your temperature is being marked. So as in science, with the observable effect, you know, that's everybody's temperature is being literally, you know, marked. And then we're you know, you are in the world. And what I thought was strange when I looked it up, I said, well, how would this correlate with Satan and the devil? And then I read that, you know, the devil exists in eternal fire. So I said, oh, okay. So that kind of makes sense. So the devil exists in eternal fire, and people are getting their temperature taken, which is something to do with heat as well. Anyway, it's just a theory, but I thought it was an interesting one. I got a lot of other things to talk about, so maybe this will entertain you at the least. Like, subscribe, share. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye-bye.